Suppose somebody wanted to do what you do. How would they go about doing that? How do they break into that business?
Wow. The one thing that's going in all of y'all's favor is it is a very youth-oriented business, and they're looking for people who are willing to work for not a whole lot of money to start. But, I mean, when you're first starting out, you can do that. I lucked into my job. I can't say that I had any kind of training for it. I wish I would have, but I was an executive secretary, and I had a boyfriend who was in a band. And I had an opportunity through a friend to go to work for ABC Records on their order desk. And in my naive little 19-year-old mind, I thought, well, if I work for a record company, I can help my boyfriend get a deal. And to the point where I took a job for significantly less money and ended up having to work as a night manager at the Gap so that I could pay my bills. And I never did get my boyfriend that deal. But 30 years later, you know, I was able to parlay it into a good career. But it was just a friend. It was a friend kind of situation. The same way people get jobs at radio stations. You go and hang out with the jocks and you befriend them. If you know anybody that works at a record company, if you know anybody that works at a record store, those types of intros into it. Promotion now is very different from when I got started. When I started in promotion in 1973, there were very few women. In fact, I think I was the first woman to ever call on WQXI in Atlanta in person. There was another woman doing promotion out of New York that had called them on the phone, but I think it was the first one to ever walk in there. And now if you look at most of the major labels, a large significant of their VPs of promotion are women. So that whole landscape has kind of changed. But I was a radioactive. I mean, I was always very much into music and very, you know, knew all the songs on the radio, turned them up. So I had a love and a passion for it. So if you love something, you find out how to get paid for it, and then you never work.
That sounds good. Well, let's see now. What about these? You do a lot of events. You go to conventions and conferences and stuff. What role would that play in the future of these people who want to go in the music industry?
Well, if you're, what's happening now, there used to be a lot more annual conventions. Radio and Records had an annual convention. Billboard had conventions. Gavin had conventions. A lot of the trade publications have gone away. There is no more Gavin. R&R just had a convention in Dallas, which is where I met Ann Gabriel. They were just bought out by Billboard, so now their two conventions will probably meld together. I think that will be less and less. The one thing that I would recommend to a lot of artists now is to try to get into these things like they have in Austin, the South by Southwest, and go and showcase for people, go and showcase for the press and for radio consultants, and get an opportunity where you've got all those people in the market there to play for. Those are the type of things I would recommend to artists. For people getting into the music industry, the conventions, they used to be a big excuse to get together and party, and now it's like we all get together and get in these rooms and say, oh my God, how are we going to, how are we going to save ourselves, kind of thing.
That's not a networking opportunity anymore, huh?
No, not as much as it used to be. Not as much. The record companies, as you know, everybody's buying each other now. There's something on the ticker this morning about their EMI is back up on the block trying to buy somebody. So the opportunities are less and less to get a job. Most of the companies now, New York, LA, and Nashville. So there's not it used to be a big branch distribution system for Atlanta. Now they're just sales offices there. Same thing in Dallas. Same thing in Chicago. So you don't have that many local opportunities that used to.